It was it him that did that one with the fishy thing in the water?
Yeah, a lot.
The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Oscar-winning Shape of Water.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know.
The Oscar-winning sort of homage to something between classic monster movie and the Twilight Zone, Shape of Water.
Yeah, I know. But apparently, if you don't like it, it's controversial. But I haven't seen it, so I haven't really been interested in.
I mean, Benj, I would urge you to see it, but you clearly have poor taste, so don't.
No,
Did you see what I did there?
I have
I like
different tastes from you people.
You believe? Well, you apparently have misspoken trash there.
I love how the popular opinion here is always the right one.
But we don't. I would say we don't have the popular opinion.
I don't know. No, he's beloved by everybody.
No, but generally,
pretty much.
I would say we're definitely drinking the Kool-Aid there, but for the most part, I'd say Mike and I don't have the popular opinion on most things.
Yeah, I mean, he has, in fairness, he has done something that a lot of people regard as a bit of a clunker. In what was it, Crimson Peak?
I don't even seen that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. I've seen it.
No one remembers that film. I quite enjoyed it, but I can see why people didn't like it because
that was the volcano one with Tommy Lee Jones.
I mean, so close, Kurt. So close.
But it's very different from that one, just a little bit.
I mean, it's a proper like Victorian Penny Dreadful as a movie.
Cool.
I mean, we can spend the next couple of hours going through his IMDb. If you know, Hellboy was good. I enjoyed that. Pan's Labyrinth was good. I enjoyed that. Pacific Rim is meh.
Yeah. I think we all agree it is what it is, though, isn't it?
It is what it is.
I like it.
But after that, then it just. I mean, Hellboy 2 wasn't that great.
Oh, I
really enjoyed it.
I prefer project.
It's highly Mike Mignola influenced. It's got a lot of the core of the comics in it in a really nice way.
That's fine. And then he started down that whole path with Hideo Kojima and the Cool Kids. Like pretty much after that.
Okay, Benj, I'm going to put something out here.
And right? I like Hideo Kojima as well, but he does love the smell of his own farts.
Well, Hideo Kojima's a hack. But let's move on from there.
Oh, you can't call one person who does that, who's exactly, the same, in that same ilk, in that same category.
Oh, no. There's a really clear distinction I can draw between Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. It's really easy to kind of define them apart. So Guillermo del Toro has produced something that's worth looking at, and Hideo Kojima hasn't.
The entire Metal Gear Solid franchise.
Yeah, exactly my point.
Yeah, you don't like Metal Gear, so that's your problem.
Not really. It's trash.
What? Okay, Mike. Mike and his strong opinions. You sound like you're speaking for the majority when you're probably speaking for a minority.
Hideo Kojima, particularly at the start of something like Metal Gear Solid 2, has basically just taken a collection of random anime films, mashed bits of them together, and gone, let's make a game out of this bit. Sure, it'll work.
You couldn't be more wrong if you tried. But it's okay. It's okay. You can have your opinions and I can have mine, and we can live harmoniously together.
No, Ben,
welcome to Elite Cadre Movies and
we're not even in the thing yet.
No, we're not. No, we're live though.
Yeah,
we're live. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but don't worry, Ben. You can have your opinions. I'll have my facts.
No. Now you sound like one of those terrible people trying to convince Brexiteers they're not. They should have a different opinion by calling.
We should just leave. I don't understand why it's so difficult. I mean,
I'm gonna press the button now that says no more talk of this topic.
No. Right, you do sound like one of those people that tells people they're just wrong all the time, and then expects them to do something different instead of There
was a movie referendum. We all agreed the same thing, and the movie referendum was very clear.
Benj, if I actually wanted to change your mind, don't worry. I would come to your house with a baseball bat and wouldn't leave until your mind was changed.
You would do physical violence on me? Physical, not physical. Physical violence.
It's interesting that you assume violence.
What would you do with a baseball bat otherwise? Would you teach me to play baseball? Would you be the surrogate father that teaches me to play baseball?
He would sit outside and miss balls until you agreed with him.
I would agree that I'd prefer to watch Guillermo del Toro's movies over Brexit, like everything that's happened there. So
yes, I'd agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Also, there is one Guillermo del Toro movie that has been sadly lacking from this conversation, and that is Pacific Rim.
He said that earlier.
Did
I
he?
said that earlier. Yeah.
Okay, but the discussion wasn't long enough. Pacific Rim.
I said it was okay. It was a bit meh.
Sorry. Evangelion the movie.
No, it's not Evangelion the movie. The guy is not whiny enough to be Evangelion the movie.
Okay, fixed Evangelion the movie.
No, because Shinji is an integral character to the entire plot of that. I can't even really keep a straight face with that one.
You can't justify that.
No. But I don't. Yeah, bad mecha design. I'll leave it at that.
I enjoyed it.
Unless you like big, giant robo type stuff. I'm not.
I
that
do.
Type.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, that's fine.
But it is what it is, isn't it? It's
It
not
is
trying to
what
be
it
anything
is.
more than that. It's not trying to be more than that. It's just is what it is.
That's what it is.
It also has a really good like main theme to it, and like a good action theme to it. It's just love Pacific Rim.
I wouldn't say I enjoy it. I enjoy it rewatching it. I enjoy it on a regular basis. I'm not going to go and say it's good. But,
I will say though that everything that has his stamp on it and then somebody else has taken the reins, it hasn't done so well. The Uprising was not that good.
No, I've watched it, but
I enjoyed it. It's not even the same quality. I'll agree with that.
I don't think they have. If he has a vision, he has a vision in all of his things, and he sees it kind of through.
Oh, that is the one thing you can say about Guillermo del Toro. His films, actually, this is sort of a recurring meme in films I like. He has extremely strong visual direction. So much like Luc Besson, who maybe produces films of some interesting quality occasionally. Looking at you, Valerian.
yeah, that's that could go on a while.
Yeah, let's not do that, please.
No, I like it.
Well, that's fine.
Source material is what it is as well. You know,
we're all allowed to live and breathe and have opinions. It's fine.
I like it because I wanted more Fifth Element, and it kind of gives us that.
But Fifth Element was so much better.
I mean, yeah. I don't think anyone's debating that, Kurt.
I'm not even Kurt.
Yeah. You're a Hanson. The first name's interchangeable.
Oh, look what he's doing. He's turning into proper, all Hansons are the same, are we? Oh, okay.
Yeah, true. No, I'm just saying, I'm not going to debate that Fifth Element, is or isn't a better film. Fifth Element is a way better film. Just because it actually makes sense in some parts. The ending's a bit kind of, oh God, why? But fine. I love both of them. Valerian is a journey more than it is a destination.
Valerian is a toned down version of the comic that was written decades ago, and it wouldn't really work in our time without considerable effort. And they toned it down, and I like it for what it is. I know what its flaws are. It's fun. I like it. I like the visually. It's lovely. Yeah, I wanted more from it, but you read the comics and they're horrendously sexist. So because they were written before I was born, for crying out loud.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But yes, as film recommendations, still watch Valerian. Just don't expect it to be a life-changing film.
It's a laugh, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we discuss what we're actually going to talk about this evening?
Yes.
It's just a thought.
Well, is it Archons, and then speculation?
Oh, well, we do need to talk about Oblivion.
Yes.
Do we know enough substantially to talk about Oblivion? Or
no? When's that before?
That is very, very true. We know enough in the general direction that we can talk about it. They did a wonderful lore cast on it, and they did the actual announcement thing. I'm just trying to see if we're only a little while away from War Madness 2019 finishing as well.
What's that?
Have you not seen this?
Madness.
So War Madness is the March Madness of War Machine. They've basically taken casters, pitted them against each other in a sort of a tournament bracket that's a public vote, and seen who comes out on top.
I have, yeah. I've seen some of them. I've kind of, didn't really do much for me. Yes.
So the current final is Ashlyn Dillis versus Lord Carver.
Okay.
Because basically the Mercs Facebook group went Mercs, 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 and kind of rallied everyone behind voting for, obviously, the correct choices in all the Merc and Minion casters.
Right.
So, like, the final four was, like, 3 Merc and Minion casters and Old Witch.
Wow.
We were so close to getting it being all 4 Merc and Minion, but Gorton lost out to Old Witch.
Yeah.
So, but at the moment, Ashlyn is leading the vote by many, many votes. And that's good, because Ashlyn deserves to win. Because she never will in the fluff.
No, she's had hard times, really, hasn't she?
Hopefully this leads to an Ashlyn 2.
You've been saying that for quite a while.
Which we've had art for God knows how long.
Art or... What? That came out kind of weird. Art or fart? Sounded like fart. We've had fart.
I'm just going to let your joke fall flat, Bench.
It wasn't even a joke. It did sound like you said fart to me.
Well, okay.
Good. Well, good.
Yeah. Fantastic.
But we'll just move on from you having ever said anything.
What art has she had anyway? What art has she had?
What was the card game?
Oh. Was that even, like... Because didn't they have a Jack in that as well, supposedly, Laylee's?
Yep, there's the Duelist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which, sadly, even when they redid the Vanguard, they didn't come out with a Duelist.
Even when they did Crucible Guard, having all those Jacks, they didn't do the Duelist.
Yep. It's annoying.
And they had Viros 2 in there and something else.
They had Rover was in there, and what was the Cadre? There's a Cadre Jack in there that was new at the time, and that's come out since.
Yeah.
Mad Dog, I think you're right. Yep, I think that's it.
The one with the 4-shot gun and the hammer.
Good.
The one that I've literally never seen.
Growlar.
Yes.
Was the Growlar in there?
Yeah.
There's quite a few.
Growlar came from the card game, or rather, was out in the card game long before it was a War Machine.
Because it was in concept before and blah blah blah. Yep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hold your breath on anything else coming out from that card game for a while.
Well, the card game's done. But it had
It was fun.
It had Gorton 2 and Ashlyn 2 and some other mercenary warcaster. Like, this is amazing. We've got more things. Are we going to see these in the game?
Eventually, maybe.
Yeah, it may not be on their schedule currently.
Fair enough.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. So we want to talk about Archons.
Mm-hmm. Anyone care much about Infernals?
I did. I was really kind of like, I'm going to jump on this. I'm going to get on them. I might just get the box set. I might just do that. I might just that'd be nice. Quite like it. And then there's something to do with the heavies being previewed. The art for the heavies has just kind of made me go, oh well, we'll see. I don't know.
Is this where Nick was going? They look like Legion beasts.
Yeah.
I don't think they look like Legion beasts, but
I don't think they do either. But they look very alien, and I don't know what it is. It's just made me go, oh.
I thought they were supposed to be aliens, though. That concept art came out quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it finally just sunk in?
I think it was when the 3D art came out that when I was like, yeah, maybe less so.
Okay.
When it became more defined.
Okay. Should we just go?
Go.
Hello and welcome to Elite Cadre, the War Machine Hordes podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously. I'm Mike.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Benj.
I'm sorry. This is now getting to be almost unacceptable. I haven't been interrupted for at least 6 months.
We're too old for this shit.
It's getting very weird now.
Well, I just felt like I was copying Alex, and it's got a bit old. I thought Alex was going to come back, and this is even less likely now. We need to do something else. So air horde or something.
Given that he's given that Alex has spent most of the last week selling off models to the elite members of Elite Cadre, I wouldn't hold your breath.
No. Well, that's entirely yes.
Yes. So, big point of discussion that we're going to go through on this episode is, well, the Dev Insider that got previewed last week. It was very interesting. So we're leading up to what is a new campaign book.
Yay!
For War Machine, which is a very weird thing to have at this point because we've not had anything in this style for a very long time.
I liked it. I miss it.
Yes, and the book's going to be Oblivion. Now, what this is going to be, it's pretty much the launch of the Infernals. They're coming in, and you kind of got this battle for the heart and soul of the world that War Machine's set in. And it's going to have some very interesting items in. So I've got a Reddit post of some of the stuff that was in there. Now, the first thing on there is one of the themes that was originally previewed for with Infernals, but was rapidly rolled back at COD.
It went absolutely ballistic.
Yes, is Hearts of Darkness. Now, Hearts of Darkness, for those who are unaware, when it was originally previewed, was a theme force that allowed you to take any caster from one of about, was it 4 or 5 factions?
Signar, Crucible Guards, Cadre. Was it more than that?
Something like that. And yeah, just fill them with infernal troops and a battle group from their own faction. It was meant to be. It was a what if this person had become an infernalist?
What if they gone bad?
And
got bad.
And the internet went a bit mental because they went, hang on, that means you can combo Hearts of Darkness with Hearts of Darkness at a tournament and make utterly broken combos of casters. So Privateer kind of rolled that one back really quickly. Went, oh no, we didn't mean that. We didn't mean it. Sorry, we'll go back and rework it.
Well, actually, I think too much focus was put on that theme, and everybody's ignoring the other one that was purely, pure Infernals.
Yes. I mean that is also fair. But now they've come back with a reworked version. So they've said that select warcasters from Cadre, Crucible Guard, Signar, and Mercenaries will be available. One of them, I believe, has 3 versions of a caster available. Most of them only have 1 caster each.
Seems to be.
So it's a much more limited pool, but it will still be along the same theme. You take your battle group from that faction, and you get your troops and your solos and battle engines from Infernals. So that's going to be interesting one. Of note, you cannot take horrors, which are the infernal, not quite war beasts, not quite warjacks. You cannot take those, but you can summon them with I forget the name of the solo. The Great Princess,
the Queen from Cadre, Evil Cadre Queen, whatever.
Yes.
She can have a battle group and she can summon.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I think they've put it in a much better place to try and balance it, which is one of the things that the theme forces are allegedly there to do. Any thoughts?
I think there's some sanity there. I think it was getting a bit out of control with the that previous incarnation. Everyone was getting very Sylvester obsessed, and a lot of people were around what he could do with them, especially from a Crucible Guard point of view. Yes, I think it's it was I think it's a good idea, and I'm intrigued to know where this is going to go because we obviously don't know the detail of it. I know. Do you know who the third incarnation, 3 incarnations caster is? Because I've seen it.
No,
it's Striker.
Okay, I mean it was one of the guesses that you could make based on the fact that the 3 incarnations was it was him, Haley, and Kane.
They've said. I thought the video. I was pretty sure on the video last Wednesday they said it was Striker.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying, of the ones with 3 incarnations, I think there's only those 3 in Signar.
Prime and yeah.
So
Prime and what's his face? Yeah, the old man.
Although Striker does turn up somewhere else, which is interesting because so and that's in the 3rd theme force. The second one is one that's designed specifically to appeal to Benj.
Yes, it literally was.
So this one is a theme force that is completely off the wall. This is Protectorate and Cadre. It is themed around cavalry, and yeah. So you want to take a caster? You can take a Protectorate or Cadre cavalry caster. You want to take infantry? You take cavalry. You want to take solos? You take cavalry. We don't know about battle engines, but I'm presuming that they will be cavalry. And it can take Cadre or Menoth Warjacks freely in the battle group. You want to take Adjudicator with Vlad 3? You go right ahead.
I particularly liked the Toy Story meme.
Yes.
that one, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the classic Buzz Lightyear gesturing to Woody, reaching up towards the sky, which we've all seen some fairly offensive versions of that. It just said cavalry everywhere.
It was the maximum minimum effort on the photoshopping as well, which just sealed.
Because it was over. Yeah, one was had a head replaced with Krios, and the other one had a head replaced.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The thing is as well, it's actually a really good thematic theme force. Because like Vlad is, we know that Vlad is of the old faith of Menoth. Hell, even in the in the alternate timeline stuff.
What's quite nice is Krios is from Cadre.
Yes, as well. That is true. Yeah. Although Fiora. We'll work on that one.
Yeah, that's more difficult. I was ignoring that. Yeah, that's hard.
But no, it's the fact that Vlad in the alternate timeline stuff has appeared as a Menite caster.
Yeah, they fought Krios and Vlad, didn't they?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Well, actually, no. I don't think Cadre got Krios.
Oh no, you're right.
They got Selena from Selena Rafale.
Catwoman. Yeah,
Selena Rafale of the Nis Hunters became a warcaster for some reason.
Okay, I forgot that.
Why. Yeah, it's that the whole. You can actually find them all in War Room now.
Can you?
Yes. So if you go to your card library, there is an option for alternate history casters.
Oh, I need to go look at that. 1 second.
Right now.
Okay. Given that we're having a 1 second break here, Kurt, you're breathing quite heavily into your mic occasionally.
Oh, sorry. That's because I'm looking down when I'm painting, I expect.
Yeah.
I will try and sort that out. Yes.
It gets a bit heavy breathing and weird.
All right. I'm just concentrating because I'm painting.
That's fine.
But I shall try and make sure my mic's somewhere else.
This is riveting radio, this.
It's very... or something. I'm painting... I'll save that for later.
Yes.
Good. Welcome back. Clash into the microphone.
Drop
that.
It's just loading.
Read the bench.
Yeah. So, did we have any other notes on what the theme force would actually comprise of?
No, that's it.
I've just literally given you the entire theme force bench.
No, no buffs though, or no,
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
Choir and horses.
Although they've described a lot of what can be taken in the theme forces, they've not said anything about what advantages it's giving.
Free stuff.
Yeah. So I'm presuming that's going to wait until we actually see Oblivion.
CID next week? Yes, that's what you mean, isn't it?
So this was Silena's card as a Cadre caster. What if Zerkova had enlisted the help of the refugee Silena Raphael in protecting Nisa from the Crixian forces? Fortified by Nisa's icy powers, Silena could have been a powerful guardian for the frozen
Gardener.
Gardener.
Yeah, Gardener.
Yeah. And true threat to anyone who would imperil him. That was okay.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I couldn't see that. But
I didn't know that one. I'd forgot.
Yeah, that one's been around since Mark 1.
Wow. Were they Mark 1?
I believe the initial in Alter History casters were Mark 1 ones.
Really?
And then they got Mark 2 cards in another.
Yeah.
You know, White Dwarf or whatever it's called. That's the wrong one.
The White
Thanks, Kurt. That's doing well. It's doing
well.
Wow.
Can't get kicked out of Press Gang now.
No, that is very true. We've all been ejected from that organisation quite mightily. So the last one is an interesting one for me, anyway, because it means that they are going to have to go back and redo tags on an awful lot of models, apparently. Because as of Oblivion, an awful lot of models will be tagged with Morrowind and Thamurite. So the final one is Flame in the Darkness, which is a mercenary theme which allows Morrowind and Thamurite models in the same force, and they lose animosity to each other.
Yep.
Striker is available for it. And oh yeah, Constance Blaze is being reworked for it. Because we've seen her in the key art for Oblivion fighting one of the Infernal Masters.
She looks more like Constance 2, doesn't she?
Do you have a picture of that key art? I couldn't find that one.
I have no idea where it will be somewhere in that.
In the video, it's in the video about 2/3 before. I don't know, about halfway through, perhaps. Actually, not 2/3 because they go on to Riot Quest afterwards. So it is in the video.
Used to be that the Reddit War Machine thing would be good for this, but
yeah, things have gone downhill, though, haven't they? Really, let's be fair.
Oh, Reddit's just not that reliable anymore, to be honest.
What, just the whole thing, or just our neck of the woods on it?
Sorry, I tried to go to the Privateer YouTube page. I'm guessing at some point they lost their login for it, because if you go to youtube.com/privateerpress, what you find is like a video on how to build a drawbridge, Monster Palooza from 2009, fronted by Schick, 3 trailers for Grind.
I think that's a different one. So Privateer Press Prime is what it's called now. They've changed over to Privateer Press /Privateer Press Prime in one word.
I'm guessing someone lost the login for the original page.
Or yeah,
because that's something of a poor showing. The last video on there was like 8 years ago. So,
So, we're going to get new Morrowind units, or at least a new Morrowind.
I haven't said that. They have said there are odd new things coming, but they haven't said new Morrowind units. They haven't really said that.
They have. We're going to get Demon Hunters, or whatever they're called.
Oh, that's Archons, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are they? I thought we were going to get a specific unit.
Not seen that anywhere.
Archons used to be a Morrowind term.
Yeah, but there was a thing that said that we were going to get these Morrowind, there
is a Morrowind 1, isn't there? But
yeah, I don't. If there is anything about that, they haven't said anything about it yet.
Oh, I swear they did. All right, I'm going to spend the rest of this cast looking for it.
You do that. Tell you what, don't stop, don't eat or sleep or mow the lawn until you find it.
I think I need to go to work, so unfortunately your plan of me
I didn't say don't go to work. I said don't eat or sleep.
Dying of starvation doesn't work.
Reasonable excuse not to go to work, I think, are they really?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the key art in the Facebook page.
Thanks.
Oh. Meanwhile, here is the music. This podcast is so happening. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm getting some Twitter DMs from Rich Dean about it. So
good. I did put in a message going, "We're recording like about now."
Yeah,
because we didn't advertise this one, did we?
Oh, that's a nice lot of artwork.
So For the for people who want to see this, in the developer hangout for April the 10th, 2019, on the Privateer Press Prime YouTube channel, if you go to 14 minutes and 48 seconds.
Jesus, where did you find that reference on Reddit? Did you?
No, I just hovered over it with my mouse. I've got two screens. I can look at the podcast on one screen and look at everything else on the other.
I've got a phone as well. I can do all kinds of stuff and paint all at the same time. Yeah.
So
or not, as the case may be.
I wonder who's doing the art for this then? By that style, can't really tell.
Could probably be a Dirtso.
Yeah,
very much his style. Well, I mean, it's not sort of the ranked troops, but it is very much kind of his style of faces, I think.
That's a cool picture.
It's a very cool picture.
So for anyone who has no reference for what we're seeing, what you're seeing is a battle between the Infernalists and their war beasts, plus at least two of the solos. The one on horseback, whose name I forget, but is basically Arthas from Warcraft.
Nice.
It is.
I've noticed that, so now. Okay.
Yeah. Everyone said it all over.
I hadn't thought of it either.
Yeah. Fighting off a load of precursors, the saddest troops in War Machine.
Oh, I like them. We've got they're stupid. There must be so many people with a painted unit. They're everywhere, and people seem to all have them painted. I don't know why, but they do.
Because they look so awesome.
This is the thing. Do. In Mark II, they were fine because a lot of troops had that half-inch melee range.
Yeah.
And you kind of went, well, hang on. Cricks can just charge my caster because they've got incorporeal units that can go straight through my stuff.
Yep.
I'll just put some precursors in the way. And all of a sudden, you've got this unit that you want to walk through this? No, sunshine. You know, suddenly Mat 9 POW.
Oh, unit of magic weapons and
Yeah, and they can have Weapon Master for a turn with their mini feet. Yeah. And it was like, oh, this is beautiful. Shame they had, was it Spell Ward, which stopped you casting friendly buffs on, which was sad. And then you've got Constance, who people had loads of hope for. Because like, yes, it's a Warcaster for Morrow. It'll be really good. And then she turns up and you go, oh. She was okay in Mark II if you could get her working, because it was the whole thing of like collect souls from the feat range and she can use them on transference to boost attack and damage rolls.
I like it.
And it was okay, but then in this version it's like, oh, you know, you do that to Morrowan models.
Of which there are 6.
And all of a sudden it's like, okay, so I can use that on Harlan Versh, Gallant, herself, and precursors.
Maybe one of the solos somewhere, maybe.
I'm less than impressed by this one now. I mean, yeah, there probably are other things, but I mean, Gallant has been utterly locked out of Mark III because he doesn't go in any of the theme forces.
Ah.
Well, on his own anyway. You have to take Constance
because his character, and therefore, you have to go with her, right?
Yeah. Which is a shame because Gallant's a really good warjack. Like, he's got purgation and a blessed weapon.
Nice.
I mean, that's just stupid on a warjack, but yeah. So Constance is getting a rework. I'm really looking forward to what they do with that. But one key thing that people noticed in the artwork when it came out is that behind the Infernal Master
is an angel.
Is it looks like a giant flying precursor. Now, this is one of the models that there's going to be a range of them, and they are called Archons. So
isn't that a strange pterodactyl type thing in Scorn? Are they all based on that?
No, they are all based on Diablo.
Nice. Very nice. I think Diablo might have a similar concept source.
It's not a bad thing.
Possibly John Milton. I don't know.
I just had a thing from Rich. It's like on Mark III, you can use the transference on any attack, the equivalent of transference on any attack, which includes Harlan Versh's gun. Yes, which is lovely. One problem is it's still going to be a Morrowan model. It's got advantages, but yeah.
I also noticed, Rich, you couldn't stop Rich playing her. Obviously, he loves it.
Does play for Signar. Not seen her on the table. I think I've seen Constance Blaze on the table a grand total of once, and also twice, and that's when I was playing her.
Oh.
So,
I have played her, but it was a long time ago.
So we have a selection of Archons. The Archons are all mercenary or minion. That's the first thing to remember. Some are partisans, and their faction allegiances are interesting.
Just before we carry on with the Archons, I found that quote which said about the CID will have a dozen other models, basically, that we haven't seen. Yeah. One example is Morrowind Demon Hunters.
Oh.
And the Morrowind tag is getting added to a bunch more models. Yeah. So,
fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Archons. So, you have a grand total from what I can see of 6. So the first one is the Morrowind Archon. Which is going to be apparently supportive and defensive.
Yeah,
it's the sort of flying angel you can see in there. One thing to remember about all these Archons, they're going to be large base models, except for one of them.
Yeah.
So that is going to be presumably some sort of gigantic angel. We're talking, probably Harbinger size kind of things.
And they're all FA2, which is entertaining as well.
Oh, good grief.
They've got like the wings. Privateer Press have been doing a lot of models with wings recently, and I really like.
Oh no! You know what this means?
What's that?
To the UK, we're going to have. I mean, I have been getting some resin pieces, which is nice. But if I see one of those, which is all metal with metal wings, and one of those sodding plastic flight stands, I am going to buy a plane ticket to America just to question people in person. Privateer Press, if you are listening, and I know that at one point someone did listen to this from Privateer Press.
They're probably drunk. They're probably drunk, but yes,
they'd have to be, really, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
If you are listening, please don't use those flight stands.
Would they really put them on flight stands? They must have a base that would support such a heavy model.
Well,
ribbony cloaks, perhaps. That's a new idea.
Yeah, exactly. we can get to one that has that fairly soon. So yeah, the Morrowind one, I think they said will certainly be available to at least Signar and Cadre.
And is a faction partisan for Signar, I think they said.
Yes.
Did they? I thought the only faction partisan was the actual Menite one. So, that's what I read somewhere. That was the only one that was specific to Menoth.
I think at this point the information we're getting is quite fluid, shall we say?
Yes. Well, it's all going to go to CID anyway. So
yes,
anything we say is as it is now on the 14th of April. CID comes out in theory this week, maybe the week after if they don't get there. And everything will change during CID likely anyway. So
yeah. So was it this Wednesday or this Thursday? It was
this Wednesday, I believe. If it's sixth to schedule.
Yeah. So Wednesday the 17th. Okay. So speaking of the Menite Archon, that's the next one. Apparently, a giant armored flaming angel. It's meant to be an absolute melee killer, and quote, Menoth's wrath incarnate.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Really? You surprised me.
I'm looking forward to all the Archons, to be honest.
Yeah. They also said that everybody can take at least one, haven't they?
And
some can take more than one.
I would be very surprised if Cadre don't get access to both Morrowind and Menoth.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
Because they are a mixed faith nation. By the way, if people haven't listened to the Lorecast that was done this last week, that is a really good listen with Doug Seacap. He talks about how these Archons are viewed and how they come to be. It's a really interesting look into the fact that these are in some cases
they're all Vorlons, though, really, aren't they?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they could all be Vorlons.
They're all Vorlons.
In a lot of cases, they are sort of former dead heroes that are kind of devoted to the faith and that have temporarily come back, but aren't necessarily sort of completely. They don't have complete free will.
I thought the form also was that the Archons were supposed to be they originally showed up as looking like they appear as how humanity wants them to appear.
Yes.
That was
that was stated. You will see whatever you want to see, which is why they've said we're looking forward to some of the interesting conversions people can come up with for these. So that's going to be good. So the next one is the Thamurite Archon. Ranged assassin with a holy longbow and wings. Now,
Nice.
This one, they have actually previewed the concept art on the Property Press Instagram.
Yeah, very gradually, wasn't it?
Yes. So it was like a 6-piece thing. It's because because of how Instagram works, you can't show the whole thing in one go, which is really annoying. But a lot of people said, "Oh, this is very similar to a Games Workshop model." It's like, yes, I can also show you a couple of Visions in Fantasy models that have the same pose that predate the Games Workshop model, and artwork that pre-exists those, and it's just a dynamic pose that a lot of people are going to use. It's like the point of command. There's so many models that just have that sort of look into the distance and a pointing arm, and you go, "Oh, that's the unit leader." It's
Isn't it Hawkeye from the Avengers?
a little bit, yeah.
Isn't it Orion from The Sky Knight? No.
Okay. I mean, I get where you're going with that one, but fine, whatever.
Wow.
Cut that one down. It's prime.
Not the same level of scorn I usually get. Wow.
No, what was that?
Yeah.
Admit, it's probably because I'm factually incorrect because Orion's not really pointing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's a giant bewinged archer leaping back with a sort of big flowy cloak, and it looks like that one will hopefully avoid the flight stand.
Yeah.
I'm praying.
That's going to be one hell of a molded cloak base.
These things are not going to be cheap. I will put it that way, because those wings alone are probably going to take up some quite interesting amounts of cash
and case space as well. If you're trying.
Yeah. Very true.
God, transporting these is going to be the devil's own game. People are going to have to break off the wings and magnetize them or whatever.
And especially the metal, that'd be fun. So a week, try the view.
Sales of Dremels are going to go up, so people can actually just have slot-in pins and take out bits they don't need. Anyway, next one is the only medium-based one, and it's the Dunian Archon. So this is the old Earth Mother. Now, what was interesting about this one in the discussion that they had on the Lorecast is that this isn't just a troll one. So although we associate Dunia the Earth Mother with trolls,
so do.
It's also what's behind Circle.
Yeah.
So this will be available in both of those. Apparently, it is pure support with healing spells and buffs.
Uber short for everyone.
There was some interesting comments about this that people were hoping that it may have been actually offensive for a change, because the amount of premium, this was one of the quotes, I don't know whether it's true or not, was from a Trolls player, was that the premium package that they already pay on support, to just have an army that can advance up the table, they were really hoping for something that would give some offensive output. So, but
it's all choice in Trolls, though, to be fair.
Given the comments that have been made, they're not getting that.
No.
But I think what they might get in this Archon is something that says, okay, you'd normally take a stone and this, and all of a sudden you go, well, I'll just take the Dunian Archon instead, because although it doesn't give these advantages, it creates most of what that does and is cheaper. Because these are allegedly in the sort of 8 to 9 points, I think.
Yeah,
range.
That's what I heard. Yeah,
it was pretty cheap.
Yeah, you say pretty cheap. Have you looked at the price of most solos?
Not really.
Actually, technically the price of most solos is free because that's what people pay for.
Yeah, right.
Oh, do you reckon they'll actually end up in theme forces though?
Some they say might.
I think they'll be takeable in theme forces. I don't think there'll be free options.
Well, I think you might find the theme R1 might be free in the theme R4. Maybe those kind of things. Maybe, but
if Flame in the Darkness allows for free Archons, I'll be there going, I will have 2 of each, please, and I will be playing this theme forever now. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Because a lot of the best stuff in Mercs is either Morrow or Thamar. And I like the idea of mixing them both together. And then for some reason adding Signar's red-headed stepchild for some,
Do you think it will last though?
Do you think what will last?
The alliance that beyond the book. Do you reckon it's rule?
So this is something very interesting about what they've said about Oblivion. They've said this isn't just something that is going to come and go. Regardless of who, quote, wins, there are going to be lasting scars and changes that are left on the War Machine world.
Nice.
And one thing that is, kind of looking back, apparently there have been alliances between Morrow and Thamar before.
Men and elves. Yeah.
So it kind of...
Sorry.
My brain glossed over that for a second.
I know, but then it sunk in. I could hear it happen.
Just why?
What's the sadness there?
I know. It gives me such joy.
But
half an hour from now, he'll just be thinking about Haldir again. So
yeah, fat Haldir. Yeah.
There we go.
Yay.
They did promise though that things would, in the last big storybook, that the plot would see people die, everlasting changes, and it didn't really feel like. So I hope they put more of an effort into this, because the only person that died was
Harbinger.
No, Crix. No, Harbinger came back. She did.
That's what I mean. Yeah, but she did though. She died and came back.
Yeah, but that was ages ago. No, I was thinking about the Crix guy, but they didn't get as a factory thing. What was his name? Terminus.
Oh yes, they did. Yeah.
I was going to say there has been death since then.
Has there? Who else has died? I know the Scotland guy died ages ago, but
I was going to say one of the someone Scorn was eaten by the Devourer worm.
Yeah, but he came back as a stone, didn't he?
I think it might have been someone else. They did reference someone. Basically, even though there is the stone one, there was a reference in the lore cast to, like, maybe this is this guy passing messages from inside the Devourer worm.
Oh.
I'm like, okay.
Like Jonah.
That's kind of weird, but okay. Anyway, still got 2 more Archons to go. Now, this is the interesting one. The Void Archon. Looks like a giant whirlpool of darkness that comes up as a giant clock angel. Looks metal.
That sounds easy to model, isn't it? Pure
disruption, causes havoc, hard to pin down. Well, the Void, I can't remember.
What, is that because it's a metal model? Wait, sorry.
Is this the Crix and Dragon one, isn't it? Crix and Legion one?
No.
It's Convergence.
Oh yeah.
They did. I think it's Convergence, Crix, and Legion.
Yeah.
I thought Retribution had this one as well.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I did hear that.
Well, because more than one faction has each one. So
because they see them as different things, don't they? Yeah, we had that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one where they're kind of they're going, yeah, this one was a little hard to pin down. Like, if you're giving it to those factions, no wonder it was hard to pin down. And so they've said, like, for the Convergence, they're building a body out of clockwork, and then suddenly the Maiden of Gears springs it to life. But for other factions, it's something different, and so that was interesting. I really want to see the model for that, because it's mentally hard to pin down what the hell they're doing with it.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit dragony, but a bit clockwork.
So that's going to be fun. The final one is the Primal Archon. Looks like the mountain has come alive.
Woohoo!
It just looks like a giant wold.
12-inch. It really doesn't.
Really?
It really doesn't. Have you not seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the art. It just looked like a wold.
It looks nothing like a wold.
Okay.
Looks more like a troll than a wold in a lot of ways.
Well, yes, I'll go with that one. So the wolds, if you look at those, they are kind of very regimented stone that's obviously been
roped together and magic together, and
it's something that's constructed. The Primal Archon looks like something that you'd be out in the middle of, a forest somewhere, and the stones would start rumbling together towards this sort of copse of trees, and this thing would erupt from the earth in front of you as this, soil spreading, root encrusted monster.
So is Circle getting 2? This feels very Circle.
I guess so. It certainly looks like Circle. Again, for people who haven't seen anything, the artwork for this one is on the Privateer Press Instagram page. I'm just reading the comments on it, and people's going, "This is the coolest Archon so far."
Okay. I guess I'm in a minority then. I find all the Knight ones sexier.
You played the wrong faction, Ben. Is that what it is?
No, not really. I just don't find stone interesting. But there we go.
I would be. I'm interested to see what this is going to do. To be honest, as a Merc player, I'm interested to see how many of these turn up in Mercs at some point, because I'll just be there going, "Yes, more Archons, more." Because out of the 3 I've seen, I like the design of all of them.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. I will say, just going back to the Oblivion book in general, this is something of an interesting change for Privateer for Mark III. So what we saw at the start of Mark III was a change from the old style books, which was everyone gets something, to then suddenly okay, we're doing Menoth for this month. We're doing Cadre for this month. We're doing Steelheads for this month. And it's all very regimented, and you get 10 things.
But you have to wait 2 years to get your new stuff.
Yeah. This feels like an old style book.
Yeah.
This feels very much like
Legends.
Here is something for everyone. We're going to have story in here. We're going to have some campaign bits in here. And I'm sat there going, this is the first book in a while, although I'm not sure they've actually done many books recently.
No.
This is the first thing in a while. I'm sat there going, I want to buy the book for the book.
Me too.
I want to see more of what they're describing about these Archons. I want to see more of what they're talking about with the Infernals. I want to see what's going on with this whole Oblivion campaign and how we get here. And
I want to see A4 art of all the Archons in a book with lore.
Yeah.
I think that, do you reckon they've done a U-turn again, on maybe just feedback? I mean, this is the first book since Vengeance, wasn't it?
I honestly would be really happy if they did that. If rather than having 3-4 books a year, 3 or 4 releases a year of one faction, we got one book that was here is a model for everything.
Yeah. Seasonal, proper.
Well, you could have the odd. They could do the odd kind of. They could do both, because they could do a theme faction expansion refit, throw in a few extra models for. I don't know. I was thinking of Storm of the North, or a faction like that. And so that was a new theme that came through. CID that had new models, adapted old ones, and brought a new theme to Trolls that was completely unlike what was around before.
Yeah.
More of that could still happen alongside this.
Yeah.
Opposite it. Maybe 2 of those in the winter, and we get one of these in the summer. And
I just wouldn't want to see the single faction stuff all the time. I like this idea.
No, I like this return to kind of seasons, epochs, as it were. A storyline and the models being driven by the narrative somewhat. But
now, okay, you're saying you want to see models being driven by the narrative.
Never been the case, is it?
I'm going to raise something that's potentially controversial. That a lot of people kind of occasionally raise, and then the world goes, "Oh no, we can't do that." And it's something that happens in an awful lot of competitive games. That over time, they achieve a level of cruft in their system.
Cruft.
Yes, where Privateer Press does the organized play system for this, and there's clearly a little tinkering that's going on, but how would we feel if in future, as part of a season of, say,
I know where you're going,
Steamroller, or a season of whatever tournament format they go with, things were rotated out?
So that's kind of mooted around, what's it called? The selected models for a season that's already exists. They kind of do a little bit
Champions.
of that, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it exists in lots of games where they have a standard meta and then they have like a legacy meta for older models and so.
You're talking about card games, though, aren't you?
Well, it's not just card games. There are other examples of it as well, but predominantly card games.
X-Wing now has the hyperspace format, so there's only only certain ships are allowed at official tournaments now. You can't have your full collection unless it's an extended format event.
I didn't know that.
I think this would split the player base, and I think it's already quite low as it is to really. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe everyone would just play standard then. What would be standard, or that that season's models. I don't know. I mean, they're already the die hard, so I guess. But I do like the idea. The only problem there is that you then have to get into that thing where you have to buy the next season's models to be able to play. And I thought the idea behind War Machine was your models were always going to be playable in brackets, but they are pretty.
I was going to say, they will always be playable in your games at home, down the club. But if you're going to a Priority Press organised event, let's say they wanted the armies at that point to represent the current timeline. So you'd still have access to, your Winter Guard. You'd still have access to your Temple Flame Guard, as your bog standard Menoth troopers. You'd still have access to whatever Signar has as mainline infantry. I don't know these days.
It's just crap, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Trenches. They'd have access to trenches. All the trenches, all the time. Oh, dear God, Cloud Walls. This is a mistake. Back away. But yeah, you'd still have access to, like, a core of stuff to build your army around. But then they said, okay, for this campaign, the army has no access to Juggernauts or Spriggans or something like that.
How would you feel? Because you're positing the question, but how would you feel in this?
I mean, honestly, I have a large enough collection. I could pretty much work around anything you put out there, unless you said I'd got to take. Oh, I keep forgetting the name of them. The one with Cognifex siphoning.
Or Convergence of Cirrus.
No. The ones who play for Crix as well.
Bloody hell. The brute.
Cephalix. Thank you.
Cephalix. We played this game. We know it. It's all good.
Yeah. I know the word. I just keep forgetting it every time I get to it. So if they said you got to play Cephalix, I'd be there going, that means a lot of gluing. I'll take a few months off. No, actually, I'll take my shonky half a collection of Signar and play that for the next few months. Or bring the Cadre out of retirement, wheel that in bits, and just go, there we go. Okay, I haven't bought a model for this since 2014. Let's see how this goes.
Well, that's the other thing as well, availability of models. I mean, I know Bob's taken over Privateer Press for Europe, but there would have to be a better availability to, get hold of your stuff.
What do you think? There's probably availability most parts, though?
Yeah, shops. In mainline shops, there are.
Oh, physical shops because of the length of the range and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I was going to say, now that I'm back to buying models like a normal person, sadly, how
the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, I know. I have yet to find anything that I haven't been able to buy.
Yeah, you haven't been able to find anything that you haven't been able to buy. Yes, that made so much sense.
Okay, I haven't seen any supply issues in anything I'm going to buy so far.
No, I haven't. But then I've been buying a brand new faction mostly, so I wouldn't, would I?
Well, it's like I managed to, even like a few weeks after they released, I managed to get my hands fairly easily on 3 of the new Arcanists and 3 of the new Gunners, and every mercenary player I know is buying 3 of each.
New stuff's always been easier to find, though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It depends, but
the new shiny's generally been quite good. I mean, it does go out of stock, but the new shiny does it's generally restocked fairly quickly, and you can get it again.
I mean, obviously, you've always said hobbying is an expensive, pastime. So
having bought an entire army since last July, I'm acutely aware of this.
I would say that the prices have, I mean, obviously with inflation gone up.
I mean, I did very much feel the pinch when I had to buy my new models.
It is one of the elements that people, when there is a standard thing that people do look at, is the cost when they think, I can just play my legacy thing. But then again, if it's only if you're saying people will still get the experience down a club, but how many clubs are there as opposed to how many tournaments there are, and
there's more tournaments again than there were. I would say we've now got to the point where you can go and play anywhere you like most weekends again.
Yeah,
if you're willing to travel up and down, in the UK, this is
regular clubs. As I was saying, like there are tournament venues, yes, but other regular clubs there are in like Bristol and a few other areas.
Because I'm fortunate to live in the areas where I certainly have 2 or 3 I have easy access to.
Yeah,
days of the week are the challenge, but that's my issue, not the club.
I will say the clubs have retracted into Heartlands and they've sort of kind of solidified. But we've been over this before.
Yeah, but this is something that comes up when you propose something like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's, you have to think of availability of the game for the people to play, and it does split the player base whenever you do see models and stuff, or in my experience, cards anyway become rotated out or change.
I mean, you say it splits the player base, but at the same point, does it not make it more approachable for a newbie? Yes,
but is this their attempt then to if this suggestion has this suggestion actually been?
No. This is me going off the top of my head. Good Lord, no. I'll make this very clear. This is not a privateer policy. This is not something they've suggested they're doing. This is not something that looks like they're doing.
I can see it in the future.
This is something that has just been a consistent, occasional suggestion as long as I've been playing the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
I've heard it before.
People in Mark II saying, "Well, hang on,
there's too much. There's too much stuff."
No, it wasn't even that. There were people in Mark II saying, "Hang on, time has moved on. Surely some of the units now they just wouldn't recruit into anymore. They'd use the newer versions." And there's still like that. I kind of guess you're right. Militaries do over time. It's like eventually in real world militaries, cavalry was kind of phased out and replaced with tanks. And you kind of have that progression of stuff.
Well, we still got the tanks and the horses in this world.
Because we often see large cavalry charges taking place, sweeping across the plains of the world today.
No, I was talking about the War Machine world. You've got tanks and you've got horses.
Cavalry is a different thing in the real world these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
It exists, but different.
You haven't really got your traditional tank in War Machine, though.
I don't know.
I've got one.
Actually, the railless interceptor, that is the closest thing we've got. But I mean, even you've got like the gun carriage, which is still horse drawn.
Trolls, wall wagon, yeah,
which is drawn by Tuffalos,
and it's so good.
And then you got like the man of war chariots, which
they're nuts.
They're almost there. They're steam powered horses. They're the best of both worlds. Oh dear.
So
yeah, I don't know. It just I don't know.
I mean, I just brought that up as kind of throwing that out there, just seeing what particular things that unearthed in the room.
I think it would be disappointing if it happened. I quite like the way, especially coming back into it. And I still feel like I've only just come back into it in some respects. I quite like the way that you can play anything, and army lists. Learning to build army lists is a whole new thing all over again. I still haven't got it right. Who does? But I think, yes, it could make it easier if you have a restricted list, if you have restricted selection. But at the same time, you kind of want to be able to. I don't know. You could argue it's kind of already happened in some ways because the theme forces kind of generate that, don't they? So
yeah.
I look at what sells secondhand and what doesn't. And then anything that's older doesn't. Partly because it's already owned, I suppose, but partly because even if you're a new player going into a faction, you're not going to want to go and buy all that old stuff. You're going to want to buy selected bits of it and the new hotness. And that's almost true of all factions now.
Yeah.
So
there are
it's already happened.
There are an awful lot of people who kind of coming into the game go, okay, what's the hot new list? Oh, it's this. Well, I guess I'll buy that then.
Yes.
And then when that alters, they go, oh, okay, I can reuse these bits. I'll just add these. And then slowly over time, you build that collection into something that's kind of flexible.
But if you've got a list that existed in that way 3 years ago and you try and sell it secondhand now, it doesn't. You can't give it away.
Yeah.
For exactly the same reason. You just can't because it doesn't. It's not just because it's not the new hotness. It's because it doesn't add anything to the current kind of. I don't know. It would work if without the internet you could probably sell it as is, but it's because we're in this media age. You can find out what works, what doesn't work fairly easily. In a way, you can anyway.
Making stuff viable was always the ethos, though, behind the game to make sure that models, and it didn't work. Some models always stayed on the shelves, but the
aim of someone like Privateer Press in trying to achieve balance, is there's been many discussions of this one. The aim should generally not be to make everything balanced against everything, because that generally creates a boring game, but to have enough creative imbalance that you're constantly rotating through what is good and what's not.
Well, look at also you've got meta, which plays a part at that point as well. Where I thought you were going to go. So 9 Slayers, that's quite a good example of something that rocked the meta internationally and almost disappeared again.
Yeah, I know, and that was with a staple jack. I mean, the Juggernaut was exactly the same as well at one stage, or Mad Dogs, which was a newer thing at the time.
I was going to say, if you notice, every time one of those all jack lists comes to the fore, either they release a model that just annihilates that thing, or they go into CID and go, yeah, we're making it a point more expensive, or they'll tweak something that makes it not quite as good.
Nothing changed to stop Slayers, as far as I'm aware, apart from the meta itself.
Yeah, I think Slayers was very much a reaction by the players going, okay, we weren't prepared for this, but now we are. No.
Yeah. And it's still a tricky list to go into, but the best response is a melee jack list to throw at it, really, because you negate most of the benefits. But trying to shoot it to death is hard work. But the meta itself tends to adapt anyway, doesn't it?
But I thought CID was in a good place where it could look at models again over. But look at rather than put models on the shelves in rotation, but to look at a model in seasonal sort of appraisals, or to look at a segment of the faction and try and give it a buff again. You do see it when inadvertently, when you, like in other systems, when, like we're saying, we're comparing this to cards, when new cards get released that make old stuff even better, or make you look at something, and then you see the price of those astronomically rise, and as people clamor hand over fist to get them, and it kind of artificially creates that need. But those with War Machine going back and looking at those models, that you could see, like you say, the eBay listings that would sell and those that would sit there.
Yeah,
it's all dependent on timing. But I think you'd lose that a little bit. That if you had rotating models, I don't know. Maybe when they rotated back in, or would they rotate back in? Are they just permanently going on the shelf?
I mean, personally, I think if you were going to do it, you'd kind of, as it's a rotation, rotate them out and in again. Maybe rotate them in again after they've had a CID or something.
Because that's the thing, if most things rotate in games, and again using card games because it's the only one really that I can think of at this point, then they're gone, they're vaulted basically.
I mean,
it used to happen in 40k when events were comped. So that would be something that where there would be limitations or restrictions placed within a competition, within an event, that would create that effectively in a similar way. But
I'd actually say it's happened with 40k in a broader sense. So what we've seen, certainly down the years, is that one edition's codex for an army will contain models X, Y, and Z, but the next one will contain only X and Z, and people go, "Oh, where's Y gone?" And then, like 2 editions later, we're bringing Y back with a new sculpt, giving it just enough time for that old sculpt to completely fall off the face of the earth.
And
then come up with something new and rocking.
I think Games Workshop are doing very much a similar thing to Privateer Press, and they're not doing CID as such, but they are reviewing, listening. They're chapter approving every year. They're adjusting points. They're tweaking everything. And I would say both games are in a similar place where it comes to balance. Neither are perfect, but both are tweaking and both trying to achieve not perfect balance, you say, because it's not chess. You know, you've not got identical pieces on both sides. You have got a variety. You've got different abilities and buffs and debuffs and synergies on both sides, and that's true of 40k in a different way, but it's true of 40k as well. It's interesting things are happening to both games in the same way.
I think this is an interesting topic, definitely.
Well, I was going to say, we've talked about it for a while, so it must be.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the idea of whether, like, Kurt's getting back into the game. I'm still looking to try and find time to maybe go to 1 or 2 events this year, and I am, going to the Welsh, but not in a playing capacity.
Well, I would say I'm actually going to 2 events fairly soon. Admittedly, I have booked myself something of a kind of a scream-worthy time in the year, because everything is clustered up all together. I am going to a tournament in Walsall and a tournament in Swindon in the near future.
I keep meaning to check the dates of James's thing. I keep forgetting.
So the one in Swindon is the 4th of next month. Yes. So 4th of May. So for those unaware, this is a bit of an advertorial spot, although Firestorm don't pay us. Firestorm Games has opened a store in Swindon.
James was on the not quite elite cadre team, I seem to remember, at the recent.
Yes, the not so elite cadre.
Confused the hell out of me.
Yes.
What?
Oh, the team I was on at the Bristol team tournament, which we'll talk about later, was called the Not So Elite Cadre. Yes.
I was not on said team, but it confused me when it got called out.
So on the 4th of May, at Firestorm Games in Swindon, there will be a Steamroller event running. It has space for players, I believe. Let me just check that.
I think so.
But while I do that, we also have another Steamroller event on the 27th of April. That's in Walsall. You can get tickets for that at Tiebreak. The ones for Swindon are available at the Battlefields, which is the Firestorm Games sort of organised play centre.
And then we got the Welsh.
Woohoo!
There are 8 tickets left for the Steamroller in Swindon, so they're about half gone.
I'll double check if I've got children that weekend.
Are you bringing models to the Welsh then, Mike? Because I thought we were going to all try and get a game in.
Benj, we will finally have that game.
Sweet.
Because I know that, like, 1 year I brought them and then you didn't want a game in the evening, and then 1 year I brought them and then I was ill in the evening and went away. And then 1 year I went and it's like, oh, there's no Benj.
Yeah, that was a bad year.
Benj not here. Sadness.
For all.
Well, yes.
Oh, I doubt I was missed that much.
I missed you, Benj, don't I?
Oh, maybe by you guys, but nobody else remembers.
Just because I like someone there to talk to while I'm sort of wandering around looking at things going, why? Why would you do this?
We generally do look in bemusement at a lot of things when you're watching a table, going, what the fuck is this guy actually doing?
Being paranoid about the judge stood next to me, usually.
Ah, Oh, come on, you need it. Unless you're drunk, you're probably cheating.
This much is true. Both cases. Drunk, I play better historically. This is the stats to prove it.
Wow. I think that's. Are you playing at the Welsh?
I am.
Well, I think you should get drunk.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I should.
The entire elite cadre team, all in one venue. Madness.
Including Alex?
No.
At this point, I'm going to say Alex is on hiatus.
We wish you well, Alex.
Yes. Yeah, if he does ever come back to the game, I'm more than happy for him to come back to the podcast. Same goes for Nick. Nick's even discussed starting painting again, which is weird.
I saw that,
which is fine. Actually, I mean, we could have that discussion about painting at some point. Although probably not tonight because this has already gone on a while.
Yeah, how long are we into this? Can we just talk about your tournament victories and
victories,
world domination?
Wait, yes. No, aren't you winning stuff again?
No, God, no. Okay. So we'll have a brief one. So, Bristol hosted the Bristol team tournament just a few weeks ago.
I'd like to give it some frame of reference. Bristol. When I go to Bristol for tournaments, it's usually about 12 people sat around with a lot of kind of space and time. And we play upstairs in the tiny little cubby hole upstairs.
You get 12 to 16 player steamroller, and everyone has a thoroughly lovely day and a nice lunch break, and then we all go home and go, wasn't that nice?
Yes.
This was an 11-team tournament of 5 players per team
in Bristol.
And I sat there thinking, how are 55 people going to get in that venue? That's just madness. Then I turned up. Not only have they got the 55 downstairs, but they got the 55 downstairs with a spare row of tables.
Yep.
Then halfway through the day, some more players turned up. Excuse me. Some more players turned up and they went, oh, we'll just open the back.
Open the shutters, mate. Open the shutters.
And a shutter gets opened to another 6 to 8 tables. And apparently there was another event going on upstairs. So that's a venue that is far bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, me too.
Wait,
exactly the same.
Is this big?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It didn't feel that big when I was there. Jesus
no, it doesn't.
Christ.
Yeah, they got 50 players playing at once with a spare row of tables and an extension into the back, and the upstairs was free.
I think full kudos to Ryan. It was really good. Time was really good.
So
it was tight. I would like more casual catch up with people time, but
I mean, it was the fact that Ryan actually allowed the full hour on each side of the death clocks as well, which was, Bristol doesn't normally do that. It wants to run a tight ship, but that was we need to get this done. Go.
Byron's solution in Cardiff is usually have 50 minutes and you go, no.
Full kudos to the store as well. There was extra parking available for the day around the back of the store. And it was a cracking event. So it was run WTC style, in that you had list pairings, and then the people who won the roll, if you won the roll off or lost, I can't remember, you got to choose your tables.
I'm glad you understand that.
But then another person got the advantage in the matchups they were picking. So it was kind of swings and roundabouts. I'll go through my experience. I bombed out hard by losing 3 matches in a row with Gorton, but we got a bye. So
cheating fiend.
Yeah, I played Gorton. Let's see, I played Gorton into Menoff, and lost on Scenario. That was Andy McBurney.
What list?
He's playing Harbinger.
Yeah.
About 7 models died all game on both sides.
Oh, you told me that, yeah.
Yeah, because my list was like, oh, you've killed the dwarf. Tough. Oh, you've killed the dwarf. Tough. Oh, you killed the dwarf. It respawns from the carrier.
Yeah, I hate that. Especially with 2 of them. His
list was, oh, you've killed the dwarf. I'll take D3 damage. Oh, you've killed the dwarf. I'll take D3 damage. And that just continued all game. And we sat there, it's like, I can't physically... And he just outmaneuvered me on Scenario and won handsomely, frankly. Game 2 was another Menoth matchup against... So I had Andy McBurney already. Now I get Paul Watson.
Never heard of him, obviously.
You never heard of the Paul Watson?
I have Paul Watson. Nice, easy game. No. No, I'm playing Gorton again, except none of his stuff can be moved, which made me sad. I'm just going to say it now. Those initiates of the Order of the Wall for free are the most ridiculous free unit I have ever seen.
Good.
I didn't know they were out.
Yes, that. Oh, thanks for keeping up with me, Bench. That's you're saying you're super interested there.
No, I'm tired. I am so tired. I've been up.
It's been the weekend. He's
I've been up
weekend.
since 5 o'clock. I'll have you know, and I've been on the move since 5 o'clock. I am shattered.
Oh, so a good 5 hours of wakefulness then. But no. So I wanted to. I'm trying to remember who the caster was. I want to say Civi 2.
Good.
Yeah, he's the one that does. He's the one that does damage to the control area for the feet.
And he stood on all his mates. Yeah, in the model was.
Yes, Bench.
Sorry, damage for the control area. Elaborate. What? Sorry, that's Harvey 2. That's Harvey.
Harvey 2.
No, so it's D3 plus 2 models in the control area are damaged.
Oh, yeah, I think that is Civi 2. He's on the mound of people. That's all I remember. I know. I've only played Civi 2 like once or twice.
So, he brings that list, and I'm in an okay position, but clock out. So he has way better clock management than I do, and yeah. Final game was against
final game.
Yeah, because I had a bye as well in here. Final game was against Rich Dean, where he brought.
Go on, make something up.
Did he cheat?
No,
Rich Dean doesn't.
He bought a Cray army that was frustrating to fight against, because when you have speed 4 troops, and you're constantly going, and I'm going to put a wall in front of them, that causes POW 12s if you cross it. You sat there going.
By the way, all my jacks are cavalry as well. Yay!
Oh, that cavalry thing is just nuts.
I know.
I was very close to shooting one off the board on round 1 because he didn't. I don't think he quite respected that the Ogren Assault Corps plus 2 gun bunnies. That's an awful lot of damage for a light warjack to take in one go. So it was a single POW 17 ranged attack plus 2 boosted POW 12s. Nearly took a light off the table. And it was an interesting match, and he kind of got, because he started scoring earlier on scenario, he managed to get to a point where he could like throw my jack away from a flag and just come up with the win from it. But it was going to be very frustrating for me to get in properly at that point anyway. So yeah, that was that list.
Cool.
How about you, Kurt?
I played with the Exeter Inquisition team. Nobody expects the Exeter Inquisition. With Rich Dean, as you played, so we played you last. I actually got 4 games. We were expecting a bye because we were bottom of the table by, I don't know, probably the first round. So we kept thinking we were going to get a bye, but apparently they weren't doing it that way. It was a random draw. I first played, I put it down. Why did I put it down? Stop throwing things on the floor. I played Dan in the first round. So yeah, got to about halfway through the first round, and I get I think it was Ant come up to me and talking to me here, going, "No pressure, but you need to win now," because 2 of them had already lost.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Thanks." So I was playing Dan into Retribution and into Assyria. Is that her name? Floats
Assyria.
On there.
Yeah,
it is Assyria. And yeah, he took me apart fairly well because, of course, it removes a lot of the ranged shooting abilities of any army. She's very good at that. And wanted to put blinding light on one too many things in, I don't know where we got to. The scenario was fairly evenly matched, but I was losing on attrition. And then he put her a bit too far out, and I thought, I think I can probably have some fun with this, and used a Trancer to knock a mechanic straight. You put a mechanic in front of her to protect her, quote unquote, and I slammed her straight through. I'm like, is she mean to knock down? Is she mean to, because she's kind of floating? Is she mean to knock down? No, she's not. Are you sure? And he checked. She was like, no, not mean to knock. I'm like, fine. Chancellor's going to walk to here, slam, done. And then Rocket Men all went, we'll leave combat and just go and killed her. So I was very grateful. I was thinking, happy now. I'm not going to lose all my games. I've won one. Job done. And the rest of my team probably lost all their games. Although Rich was doing really well, but I think he lost on clock. But he was doing well up until the point, as far as I remember. But second game was into Rob playing his Cadre, and that was into Old Witch 2. I've played Old Witch 2 before in Grimkin, but I've never played her in Cadre, and that was an experience. She's quite horrible, especially when she can just reduce the range of everything, especially when she feats, and you suddenly go, well, everything everywhere is -4, -5 range, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
It's just, nothing could hit anything. I died.
See, the one time I've played against an Old Witch 2, she did that, and I went, okay, my Kayazi charge you? Okay. And my Mangler charges you as well. And Wrong Line Snapjaw, like, do you have any ranged weapons? Kel Baylock?
Yeah, I played Crucible Guard. Everything has a ranged gun with lots of weird and wonderful different shooting. Oh, none of them can reach it. Okay. I could shoot this kind of... No, that doesn't help.
See, she's from Cadre. The only gun that exists in Cadre is a man with an axe who brings the axe to you.
Yeah. I did whittle some jacks down, but no, it wasn't enough and things died. Yeah. So lost on... just died. I can't remember if I got assassinated or what happened. It wasn't... I don't think it was... I think I did lose on scenario in the end.
I lost to death.
Did you just black out? Like, did you just... And then wake up?
Things died horrendously to the point where scenario was even, and then suddenly shifted. To come think of it, now I think about it. It was just, suddenly shifted around. We played the Bristol guys next, the guys I play with in the sort of little Bristol events. And I played Luke with Cadre again, and he was threatening to play Old Witch just for a laugh, because I told him I'd just play Old Witch. In the end, he put Iris 2 on the table, and similar kind of thing. It was very kind of tight on attrition and hard fought. One thing that did gut me afterwards is I was thinking he was protected behind cloud walls because the chariot was putting clouds down to protect Iris on one side, and then a juggernaut was protecting him on the other. And only, I think in the evening or in the car on the way home, I went, wait a minute, I could make my Vulcan see through clouds. What the hell was I doing? I could have put 4 fully boosted Vulcan Power 14s fully boosted into Irisk, who was sat on 2, I think, at one point. He would definitely have died. That was fun. Because Hot Shock, so all those 4 would be boosted damage rolls. But I died. And then last game I played James in what was the team called? Not quite Elite Cadre, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then oh my god, he put Sloan on the table with 68 hunters and 45.
Is that a legal list? You can just take.
Apparently, it is. No,
in the current theme forces, if you take 1 hunter, you get 67 free.
Yeah. It's just...
But only for the first hunter. For the next hunter, you get 65 free.
The only way in which I wouldn't have horrendously died is if I backed up off my edge of the table.
Oh, the way that you said that just made it sound so authentic.
It felt like 67 hunters and Ace as well.
Ace is just unpleasant. I was
hunter
facing Rich Dean with Kane 0 and Ace. That was
that's what it was.
So I'm going to trick shot. Okay, and then Kane's going to come in and trick shot and another trick shot. I'm sat there going, how many trick shots? Will you please stop shooting Thor? I can only tough so many times.
Yeah, it was a good way of killing Rocket Men, though. You just go, I'll boost to hit that one, but that'll kill 2. I'm like, oh, that's a shame. So it did cause me, that game in particular caused me to go away, because that was, I should have probably put my Gerhardt sort of more anti-Signar down, because I play against Signar probably more than anything lately, but that's caused me to go away and rethink my Gerhardt list. Hence why I'm painting more people. And rethink my Sylvester list as an alternative, a more significant alternative rather than almost the same list with a few tweaks. Yeah, no, I had a really good day though. It was awesome. Winning the first game is a good way to start, I always find, but sometimes that consequences is you go up the table and then just get pounded. But
in a team,
it was fun. It was a really good day.
Surely that shouldn't have been an issue in a team tournament. Did they just then expect you to carry the whole day?
No, it didn't happen. No, because obviously the other 4 members of my team lost the first game, so we went down. So yeah, it wasn't an issue. It was a really good day. It was fantastic all round.
I will say from feedback that Ryan's had, which was extremely positive, and rightfully so. He did a really good job. It looks like he'll be running either some kind of tournament that's the same size but standard steamroller, or some kind of tournament that's the same size but still team in about 6 months' time.
That'd be good.
I must say the team tournaments, any of them are the best kind of tournaments. It's just I enjoy them.
They feel like a little less pressure.
Yeah.
Although I will say to all the team captains out there, because I'll inevitably be murking at some point, please, for the love of God, stop giving me men off. Every time I go to a team tournament, they're like, okay, here's your pairing. Okay, I asked for not men off, and you've given me men off. Righto.
Maybe they just really have faith in you to deliver.
I just keep getting thrown under the men off bus every single time. I mean, it's fair enough, and it's usually a fun day. But just sitting there against the faction that likes to say no all day is the worst.
How many men's games did you have?
2 out of my 3.
Ouch.
Yeah, and I believe the last tournament I went to, team tournament I went to, was a similar record. I don't know why. I just keep getting fed into Menoth. It's been a consistent thing. Menoth has been one, like, while I may have hated Signar, Menoth was the faction that I lost against the most. And I actually said this to Rich Dean. I said, well, these days, I don't mind Signar as much because they'll come out and play. They'll actually put stuff forward on the table, and you can actually have a game against them. They're not standing behind a cloud wall. They're not Kane teleporting forwards and assassinating your caster from 37 billion inches away. You can actually play the game against them. Whereas Menoth says, no, you can't move. You can't charge. You can't run.
If you shoot me, I'm not going to be hurt by it.
Oh, if you shoot me, it's going to hit any one of these 3 initiates of the wall, who at the moment are armor 21 and with 5 boxes and tough.
And at the same time, this other jack will walk towards you.
And are free. I'm just going to say that again. That is a unit that really needs to be reconsidered as to whether that should be in the free slot, or whether you should be only able to take like a limited amount of them for free, like 1.
No, I'm good with it. It's fine.
Shock.
I will say also that Order of the Wall guy on the horse.
Yeah.
I want to pick up that model and throw it at the wall. It's just okay. One of them in the game I had against Paul Watson stood there for, I think it was 3 turns against 2 warjacks and didn't die.
I was just building one of those tonight. I'm not even joking.
You're not even sorry. Nice.
Actually, no. I do know where. Well, unless you've moved, I do know where you work bench. So,
yeah.
If you're just walking out of work and suddenly find that one of your legs is broken,
if you buy it and buy them, assemble them, and throw them at him.
Yeah, they're quite hefty.
Yeah,
plastic.
Forget sock jacking. It's all about sock knighting.
I don't know what to do with that. Yes.
Yeah. No. So.
Oh no, it's bronze backing. Rob a bank with a bronze back. With a sock full of 2 bronze backs.
Extreme Titan Gladiator, but the original version in metal.
Ah.
That thing would probably also survive being thrown at someone. Anyway. That was the Bristol team tournament. A good time was had by all.
Yeah, it was great. I was knackered for ages after that.
I was pretty tired the rest of the weekend, which is weird because it's only like 3 or 4 games, but it's a whole day and it really takes it out of you.
Wait, Mike, would you rather play against Grimkin than Menoth?
Yes.
Oh, my lord.
They're not as scary as they used to be, Grimkin. The surprises have all gone.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Arcana can kind of catch you out if you're half asleep, but it's not as they used to be ridiculously. I don't understand any of it, and I'm kind of at one with not understanding it now. And it's all right.
This is the thing.
It doesn't help that I have access to magic weapons in a lot of places now.
With Grimkin, it feels like I'm actually playing the game. It feels like I am able to do things. Yes, there are reactions to those things, but it feels like there are models out there to be interacted with.
Are you saying that Menoth is the new Crix? It sounds like it.
I don't even think it's that. I think Menoth is, as I've always said, the faction that likes to say no. Whenever you attack it, that damage goes elsewhere. Whenever you want to charge it, you can't. If you want to move, yeah, you can move, but you'll die. And there won't be any cost to the Menoth models at all.
At least Bastions are terrible these days. Can you imagine them in Mark 3 if they were like they were in Mark 2?
That's because it's got swapped with Incinerators. Incinerators
yeah, that's a good point.
So,
Incinerators were always shit when they just swapped them.
Yeah.
This is the weird thing. I don't think Menoth are too powerful. I think that's kind of objectively proven to be not true. But what I would say is Menoth are not necessarily fun to play against. And that's the part of the equation that I dislike. But then again, I'm not sure that they are meant to be a fun faction to play into. So
they've always been that, though, haven't they? There's nothing you really knew about what you said.
Yeah. And there is kind of room for that in any game, that you're going to have that one thing that just says no to everything. And doubtless there are other factions that people sit there at the moment and go, this is awful to play into. Why would I even bother playing this?
Grimkin's right up there, I think, for a lot of people. But
yeah,
I think practice and exposure to it makes that go away a bit.
I still have a problem with the Arcana and the idea that they can react kind of.
They're quite gotchery, but if you know it's going to happen, and you're going to go, well, if I do that, you're going to spring that Arcana. So
yeah, I just turn into massive analysis paralysis because of the Arcana.
So if I'm practicing on the clock, even to the point before this tournament, the weekend before the tournament, I sent some pictures around. I played on the Saturday afternoon, or during the Saturday weekend before, I played 2 full games with my 2 lists against myself, against each other, those 2 lists, on the clock. And not just even to work out who would win or what was better, just for the practice of running both lists together. And aside from realizing how badly a Vulcan can't be hurt by most of the rest of Crucible Guard infantry, because they're immune to all the different alchemical effects, that aside, I found it really good for making me go, stop thinking, just do stuff.
I will say my clock discipline has gone to hell in Mark 3. What I may start doing at tournaments is just have a timer in front of me, separate to the chess clock, that's just I'm going to set 7 minutes on this, and try as much as I can to get my turn done in that.
Old school, yeah.
Because looking at the chess clock, you get this false impression of how much time you've got. Because you sit there and go, oh, I've got 45 minutes. That's plenty of time. And then you spend 12 minutes on your turn. And then all of a sudden that's changed very much what the dynamic of the rest of the game is.
Yeah, I think it's I think practice. I think playing on the clock all the time. I think practicing those first 2 turns. There's nothing really wrong. It sounds weird and sounds like what I set up to try and do was to practice my deployment on the clock and practice that first turn, move up, unpack, whatever you want to call it, on the clock. And I started looking to do that. And then I went, you know what? Why don't I just play more of it to get more of an understanding of how things interact, how things move? Because you learn through games, and you can fake that. I was quite surprised how well it worked. I still lost most of my games, I'll fully admit that. But I definitely had more confidence on the clock. I didn't time out at all. I was nowhere near timing out, particularly on any of it, because I was used to just moving those units of models, groups of models. I mean, you are now with your list, because I would think because you played those lists in a similar way for a while now, haven't you? But variation.
The McBain list is pretty much all new. It's got some kind of a standard core, but I didn't actually put that one on the table at all. The Gorton list, yeah, I'm fairly familiar with how that's going to go on the table. That takes a couple of minutes. Although that said, the next tournament I go to, I've already come up with a Magnus 2 list that's going to be replacing one of the lists I played at Bristol.
I think practicing deployment is just awesome. Just worth its weight in gold. It's because you learn, if you're learning at an event, it's, I don't know, It's hard lessons, isn't it?
I will say there is a downside to practicing deployment, and I've come across this in the last event I played in.
Scenery?
Yes, it is. So I deployed in my standard way for one of my games without... I'd gone over the scenery with my opponent. I knew the layout of the table. I knew where I was. Then I deployed in my standard deployment and realized on turn 1, oh dear.
So you need to do it on a table that you throw fairly random scenery out and you move it around each time, and that's what I did. So I kind of, yes, I have fairly standard deployment, but you've got to be open to flexibility, being flexible, haven't you?
I mean, I didn't do it after that game, but you do need to watch yourself. Just in, I put the Forge Guard directly behind rough terrain.
And
it's
that
moment.
Day.
That's going to be a miserable day. I mean, the first game they're behind.
At least you got Piper or something, yeah.
Yeah, the first game they're behind scenery. The second game, they got. Is it Rebuke?
They can't receive orders.
Yeah. So dwarves that can only advance are the worst things in the world.
Keep up, lads. Oh God.
I spent the entire game walking into a Men off Arc node and being repelled.
Oh, so much fun.
So, yeah. Anyway, I think we've spent enough time on that one, and we can probably go for any other business. So, Benj, any other business?
I've been watching the Netflix Korean zombie thing.
Was it good?
Dynasty drama. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It ends on a horrific cliffhanger because they were over budget and over time apparently, but then it was popular enough that there is going to be a second season, but that cliffhanger is awful. Like it's the worst one I have ever you really want to know. You really like the characters, and you really want to know
what's it called again?
It's called Kingdom,
right?
Which is kind of weird because I thought originally, because at the same time there's another Korean zombie movie set in a feudal Korea called Rampant, and I thought it was one and the same thing, but it wasn't. And that looks like an awesome movie, and I really want to try and pick that up.
But this is the series you watched, isn't it?
The series I watched on Netflix was Kingdom, I need to try and figure out when the DVD's coming out for Rampant, because that looks fun as well. But it's really well done. The acting's really good. I don't know much about Korean dramas, but they say that it's got like the best of both worlds and of
Korean dramas certainly have a very loyal following. I'll put it that way.
I'm a fan of Korean horror. Chadwick Park and what such like.
Yeah, it does the horror quite well. You see it. You go at some points, but the whole you think that our times are pretty stupid whenever there's a zombie apocalypse. It's really funny seeing a class system react to a zombie apocalypse. It's funny like that. It's really good, and that's the only thing really that I've seen lately that has kept me glued to the seat, as it were, through all 6 episodes in quick succession. So I would recommend it.
I might check that out. Is it dubbed or subtitles?
You can take your poison. The dub is hilarious.
Oh dear,
it's really bad. And if you watch it with the subs as well, they don't match.
That's quite common though. That's
It
is really irritating. Irritating.
I'm guessing what you'll find somewhere on there'll be 2 subtitle tracks, one for hard of hearing, one for the actual subtitles.
Yeah, they also have audio descriptive in Korean, though, which
Netflix are trying to break Asia. So,
yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah, I will say I did watch what was it, Psychopaths, which is an anime series on Netflix, and didn't realize initially that the subtitles I selected were for the hard of hearing. So what I was seeing was effectively what is termed in the industry dub titles. Which are ever so slightly different. I will say that Psychopaths was still really, really good, even with that. But yeah, watch out for Netflix because you may have more than one subtrack.
Cool, good tip.
And the other thing is, it's the end. I know nobody really cares here, but it's the end of the epoch with the current storyline for Magic the Gathering with the next set that's coming out, which looks really fun. And the trailer went viral and got picked up by a lot of new people interested in the game, and got because they actually did a full CGI trailer and it showed at PAX, and it was a really good video.
What I will say to people interested in Magic the Gathering,
don't listen to our podcast.
Is no. I encourage those people to listen to a podcast and get involved in gaming communities. But what I want you to do is go to a Magic the Gathering tournament, and instead of taking a deck of cards, just take your wallet, slap that down on the table, and go, "I win."
I thought you were going to say take some Febreze.
Actually, yeah, no, that's Yu-Gi-Oh. So, for those who are Yu-Gi-Oh has introduced a rule into its competitive rule set that now says that players are expected to wash.
That is
true of all games.
Wow. Now, I will say that as someone who runs an anime convention, one of the things we do is every opening ceremony, we announce to people that
you wash people.
You are expected to not present undue amounts of body odor to the rest of the attendees. What we encourage is people to take a shower every day. And
every day?
Yes, every day. and also we advise them that deodorant is not a replacement for a shower.
What is their response to this advice?
Poppycock!
Most people are absolutely fine with it, but there are some people who take undue umbrage to that kind of thing, because we are fed up of their shit, quite frankly. I have actually threatened people before now. I will bring in some Febreze and Febreze you if you keep hanging around me.
I think it's one of the worst stigmas gaming has, and it's all
It's not false, though, is it?
It's not. It's just. It should just. What is wrong with people?
So
it's the away from home thing. It's the...
I am not going to name names, all right? But at least one National Masters and at least one Welsh Masters, I have walked around that event, and there's been multiple people, and it's changed for different events. There have been multiple people who have had BO so bad that, okay, I don't really have a sense of smell, but I could taste the BO in the air.
It's in the air, right?
So that, quite frankly, is at the point where you should be taken outside and pressure washed, frankly. It is not acceptable. You know,
bloody horrible it is.
If you are going to go out in public, at least make yourself somewhat presentable. I realise that there are, and I'm just going to say this now, that I realise there are genuine medical conditions that can cause this, but people with those conditions usually have some kind of mechanism where they can reduce what they're doing in public to a point that it's not offending everyone around them. Here I am talking to the people, specifically those who think it's acceptable to go to like 3 and 4 day events, live out of their car, and not change their clothes for the entire event. And you can tell. They might say, "Oh no, it's fine. I'll just get some more links and spray that on." You can tell.
Good.
Sorry, I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet over that one. So
it is an important thing because it is a stigma that never seems to go away from gamers. That personal hygiene just non-existent.
Yeah, and I'd say 99.9% of people, they're fine. Because, okay, they might not necessarily share every day, but they at least know how to keep things under control, shall we say. But yeah, anyone who thinks for like more than 2 days, deodorant is a shower, no. Please leave.
Ew.
Yeah. So more and more game stores have adopted that you must shower and deodorize before coming in as a policy, and now Yu-Gi-Oh as a game has adopted it. And quite frankly, if that turns people off the game and makes them go away, all the better.
I mean, I must say, I saw some Yu-Gi-Oh cards the other day. The amount of text that's on those cards.
Oh, Japanese TCGs are hilarious.
I know.
So they have. You can tell when a TCG is Japanese because first of all the numbers on the card that they're like the health and attack or whatever values have an unnecessary amount of zeros on the end.
Yeah.
So there's never anything that's like 15 of this, 4 of this. No, a 4 will become 4,000 because
9,000.
It's over.
The art will be huge and beautiful, and there'll be foil versions that look spectacular. And then there'll be a text box at the bottom with the tiniest English writing available, into which they have crammed a thesis. So I have played some of these games, and I'm sat there across the table, and with my glasses on, I have 20/20 vision. I have no idea what's in that text box.
It's even worse when they then start adding icons, tiny icons as well.
Yeah.
You can't really distinguish them from the other icons. And then there's so many interactions. I don't know, Japanese, why they do that.
It's actually the reason why I didn't get into, is it Vice Schwartz?
Yeah, or Force of Will, or any of them, really.
Yeah. Vice Schwartz had a set for Fate, which is, I quite enjoy the Fate universe. It's really good. But this was just like, I'm sat there going, this is incomprehensible. What's going on? What's happening? No. Right, I'm off. See yous. I'm done. I know when I'm in a bad game, and that it may well be very enjoyable, but the way it's set out is appalling. Anyway.
Good.
Any other business, Benish?
No, I'm good.
Okay, fair enough. Kurt!
Hello.
Any other business?
We already did the tournament. I'm painting up a second unit of Christmas Guard Stormtroopers. That's the big, heavily armored guys with the guns.
Ooh.
As we speak, I'm doing some basing, but I've painted a lot of them this evening. I also have, just because I was just kind of playing to strengths with Gearhart. How can I make Gearhart better? How can I? And the Assault Troopers, well, I've got them because they're in the initial box. They're not as good. They have kind of better defensive tech, but yeah, so I'm painting them. I'm also painting Dwarf in Sheep's Clothing, which is the alternate sculpt from the Army Crate from Privateer Press of Gorman Dwarf, who is the rogue alchemist, obviously part of Christmas Guard as well as being a mercenary. And it's a alternative sculpt of him being a girl in a sheep's onesie, she's awesome. I like her a lot. She's going to be my staple as I get finished because they're fully tournament legal.
If anybody is still subscribed to Mini Crate, did the ones for last month ship yet?
Which one's that, Ben?
Silas.
I don't have Silas yet. I've just had Raggedy Mandy.
Okay. I was wondering whether I missed Silas. So I signed up just after the day.
Best thing you can do is I'll see if I can get you Steve's email address.
Okay, I tried the old press gang one. I got no response.
I know Steve's personal email address. So Steve's work email address rather. So again, for reference, someone who works with Cerberus in the UK who deals with the European distribution of Mini Crate. So he has the list, and I've been able to redirect my Mini Crates to work through him.
Okay.
So, but I'll give you that, and you can get in touch with him.
Thanks.
The other things I'm painting are the Hellboy, the board game, has arrived while I was on holiday. So I came back to find that at my neighbours, and I've already started spraying up 2 trays. There's tons of models, so many figures. But the hero models are awesome. The only ones I've looked at in really detail are Hellboy and the traditional characters, Liz and I can't remember the names, and Abe, and they're just really, really good. They're really nice models.
Are they more like the sort of the original movie sculpts, or,
no.
or are they more like the comic?
More like the comics.
Ooh, okay.
Although Hellboy, the original movie, was extremely closely modelled on the comics. So
yeah, from what I've seen of the comic, there's a very distinctive angular look.
Yes. Somewhere in between, though, because it's very difficult to have a 3D render version of that angular look. So
yeah,
I would say the Hellboy that I've got, which I could show you, but obviously it's not very good for radio, is you could argue it's either. It doesn't look unlike Ron Perlman, but it is sculpted around the comics. The other characters are much more comic oriented. So Abe is less of the blue Abe, more the green Abe from the comics. More fish-esque, less kind of otherworldly, and the vapor smoke guy, whose name is now just vanishing from my head, is much more like the comics, much more like almost like a blown kind of figure, rather than the semi-mechanical thing that they did in the second movie. But equally awesome, really cool. All the bad guys really well done, considering that you've got 24 soldiers and 15 frogmen and loads and loads of stuff. It's a lovely set, and I got it's Kickstarter, so they showed there's a YouTube channel from Mantic of them opening the Kickstarter box, but they show you the retail box next to it, and it would be disheartening to buy the retail versions of this game. I think it's so standard. The retail is a standard size games type box, miniatures box, square, like all the game boxes are now. Square, 2 or 3 inches high, 3 inches high. The box that I've got from the Kickstarter, they've made it longer than wide because they wanted it to fit in the IKEA square kind of shelving units, and they've said that as part of the claim. But it doesn't fill it. But you can put one more box on top of it if you're lucky. So the expansion that might bring out will fit on top, and then that square is done.
Oh, very nice.
Very happy with it.
Yeah, cool.
How about you?
Well, let's see. All the hobby I've done this evening is glue up a Flamebringer that I managed to destroy by dropping another model on it. So that was delightful. Since the last time we've gone on air, I've done some more painting. So I now have a fully painted, for my sins, Ogren Assault Corps. I'm quite happy with those. Also painted up the Rockram. So now got one of those, and also because I was a glutton for punishment, I got the Steelhead Gunners, and pretty much the same day had 2 of them undercoated and fully painted, ready to go for a tournament the next day. So
wow,
yeah, they weren't painted, they weren't even assembled the night before the tournament. So, but I just kind of sat there and went, you know what? I've got enough time. I could finish those off.
You've done a lot more painting lately.
Yes. Well, what I plan to do over Easter as well is, because I'm going back to the Midlands, actually take some of the stuff I want in my list for that with me, and get some more stuff done for that. Because once you actually reach almost a critical mass for regularly played models, anything that you bring into those lists, you just sit there and go, yeah, but if I just do one more, I'm fully painted. And then it becomes a lot easier. When it's 2 unpainted units, an unpainted caster, 3 unpainted solos, and 2 unpainted jacks, it's nah, that's a lot of work. I can't be bothered.
Yeah, that's where I am.
But once you get to a certain point, you kind of start going, nah, just one model, it's fine.
It is.
What I've also found is that as I've gone on with more painting this year, admittedly, my time is extremely variable, so I'm in a bit of a lull at the moment. As I've done more painting this year, actually getting a model from nothing to painted feels like a lot less effort.
Just practice. It's just, I agree. It is.
Yeah. And
it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter how you paint or what's the level of detail you paint. That's true of all kind of levels. You just you practice, you get into it. Your techniques get cleaner. You trust your hand more. I think there's a level of that.
Yeah.
You trust where the brush will go, and you can paint more quickly on that off the back of that. I think.
One thing has actually radically changed the speed at which I can paint things in the last 12 months, and that was learning to paint inside out. It's not something I'd ever done before, but once you've kind of learned how to do that and where to break it as well, which is kind of also important.
Yeah, I agree.
But once you've learned how to do that, suddenly you kind of, as you're putting on those first couple of colors, you don't have to be quite as exacting and just be delicate and in the lines. You can just go, yeah, that bit's green, that bit's green, that bit's green, that bit's green, because you know that when you apply like the silver that's going on next, you're going to tidy up that line. And you won't. It's not part of that tidy up phase at the end where you end up with like 7 colors left and going, oh no, I need to add a bit of that. Oh, I need to bet that as well. And all of a sudden, that model is just coming together so much quicker because you've learned not just how to apply paint, but some of the theory behind what you're doing with getting that model to painted. So, yeah, that's part of what I'm doing. Other than that, I did actually have a board gaming day yesterday.
Ooh.
So first of all, played a game called Farsight, which is a one-on-one tactical board game. It's really weird in that it's a laid-out grid, and it's meant to be you've got mecha and infantry and artillery, but you don't deploy any of them at the start of the game. You get to bring them on in a hidden state, 1 unit a turn, and while they're hidden, they can move a certain amount every turn. But once you attack, you have to reveal them. And so it's all this matter of, okay, so I've brought on these 3. I've brought on some infantry and a heavy. I think that's your artillery. So I'm going to try and get stuff around to there. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh no, it's a much bigger unit. So you've got to realign what you're doing.
Is that because to represent a fog of war kind of idea?
Yeah. And as well as that, you've got this constant battle. Basically, if you there's 12 objectives on the board, and you're in a constant battle because if you capture 8 of them or 3 of your opponent's back row of them, you win the game at the end of the round.
I've seen that, I think, yeah.
So it's this really interesting like tug of war mechanic as well, because you don't have units coming on in a specified order. You're choosing them from your pile of remaining units. So it's tracking what your opponent's got, tracking what you've got, thinking about what them put down. It's an interesting tactical game. We didn't play the full version because there's like support staff that you can add on, like spies and so on, but we didn't get that one. So that was an interesting game. Next one we played was a game called Azul, which is extremely different in that it's a very abstract game where you're building a mosaic. And choosing from a pile of tiles in the middle, and you're going to fill up rows of certain length of tiles to put them on your actual design, and that was a pretty good game as well. It's got to be one for the abstract and puzzle gamer, because you've got to do things like look at other people's mosaics and go, okay, if I take these tiles, they can't complete that line this time, so they won't get those points. That's fine. And I've got to take these as well because I need those. And do I want the first player marker? Because that's -1 point. But so it's an interesting sort of tactical little game. And the final one was the much more heavyweight Agricola.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Now,
I've played that and I hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I hated it. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I really enjoyed it. That is, that
speaks volumes on its own.
I'd like Caverna instead, because they've removed some of the problems with Caverna, which is essentially Agricola 2. But yeah, you're meant to be a farmer in the 1670s who's building a subsistence farm, and you've got to have this balanced diet and build a family and improve the home, and you have 14 rounds in which to do it, and at specified points you've got to have enough food to feed your family, otherwise you need to go begging and lose points. And yeah, once you realize that the essence of the game is just place dude, get thing,
yeah,
the rest of the rules just become so much easier.
Yeah, that's true. Although we went the time that we played it, a friend of mine, we went to like one of these meetup versions of a board game night at a pub.
Yeah.
The website Meetup or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they had a board games one. And it was run quite regularly there. And we sat down, and the guy that was teaching us the game was really good. but the other guy that had joined us that none of us knew was like, "Oh, I don't know anything about it." And then clearly, about 3 turns into it, he was just like, "Yeah, that was bollocks," basically. So he just ran rushshot over us, and wasn't much of a learning experience.
See, we were like just a group who'd never played it before. I mean, we at the start it felt like we're being snowed under with rules, because that is like there's a 16-page rule book with a 16-page set of appendices.
Yeah, it doesn't do a good job of describing just its basic mechanics, basically.
The thing is, I had to do my traditional job. Basically, as other people were punching out, they just threw the rule book at me and said, "Here, condense this." I'm like, okay. So I had to sit there and kind of read it.
You play games. You play games. Read this.
Well, this is the thing. We all play games. We all know the rules for things. But they know that if there's a rule book that looks like it has even contentious stuff in, if they hand it to me, I'll sit there, I'll digest what's going on, and I'll come out with like the Dave Lister version of the rule.
Nice.
Which is why any further ones, once we've played that one, if there's a new player and they'll go,
not the Rimmer version then.
No, God,
3.
No. And then I took both dice and stuffed them up his nose. No, once we get new players in the game, I'm responsible for, like, while they're setting up the board, going through okay, here's the too long didn't read version of the game, just to get you into it. We'll have a couple of players play before you so you can see what they're doing, and we'll go from there.
The worst rule book that I've actually read on that level, and the games turned out to be so simple, was Welcome to Welcome to your new home. It's a disposable, like, card game bingo type thing. It was really good. It was a good game.
Yeah,
but the rules were just it was either they were being poorly described, but once you played a couple of rounds, it was just pretty simple. But I don't know. It's a bit of an art for rule books to actually.
It is.
Well, first of all, I'll make 2 points now. Firstly, I'm writing a homebrew RPG at the moment, so I can understand where it comes from when making things in a logical order and understandable. Secondly, the worst rulebook for making a game look complicated that I've ever come across is Power Grid. I love Power Grid. Power Grid is an excellent game. I recommend it to anyone. It is basically...
It's quite simple, really, isn't it?
If you want to play Monopoly, it is the better version of Monopoly.
Oh, I've not heard it quite called that, but yeah.
Yeah, because essentially you're building properties, you're getting money from them. It doesn't have the roll and move mechanic, but what it's got is this sort of self-balancing market economic stuff. You've got paper money. It fulfills that same sort of basic board gaming area. The rulebook is an absolute disaster because it is translated very technically from German. It's not a poor translation. It's a very accurate translation, and it's a very mechanical translation. As long as you read it like basically a set of stereo instructions, you're probably okay. But otherwise, if you're reading it as a way to get into the game, it is a tough old read. Because the way it describes the auction section specifically is like almost a page long for something that you can do in 2 lines. It really is just a pain. And every time we've taught people a game after having that initial one, it's been like, oh, okay, this is really easy. The only thing we need is the reference sheet on the back to tell us how much we refill certain things.
Well, that's another thing as well. Describing building activations for Machikuro became a bit silly at some point. I remember that the rulebook wasn't particularly clear on that as well. I don't know. So the best rulebook I've ever read was probably Lords of Waterdeep. It does what it says on the tin.
Here's the worst one. I've never read the rules for Lords of Waterdeep.
Really?
I played the iOS game so many times. I knew that game like the back of my hand the first time I picked up the box. I was like, oh yeah, I know how to play this one. Got halfway through the game, I was like, there's one thing I have failed to describe to everyone else, and if I describe it now, it scuppers my entire strategy.
Oh dear.
Oh, I am sadness. Okay, this is relevant. I'm going to describe it for you now. It didn't matter in the end because it was still like a close game anyway. But yeah, I had a board game day. It was excellent. I got to play 3 new games. Basically, me and my mates are going through all the board games we bought at previous UK Games Expos before the next one.
I see.
In the hope that we can actually clear off some of our list and go, yeah, that's a good game. Unfortunately, it's already cost me like 70 odd quid because I know I'm going to go to UK Games Expo and buy Caverna now. So that's the thing.
I'd like a rematch with Caverna. I didn't so much like Agricola either. I'd like a rematch of Agricola. I didn't like Caverna that much.
Well, Caverna is essentially Agricola too.
I know. It just thematically.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I think it's time to sign us off because it's late and frankly I'm tired. Kurt, sign us off.
You've been listening to Elite Cadre, the Hordes of War Machine and movies and board games and anything else we can think of podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously. I've been Kurt.
I've been Mike.
I've been Benj. What episode was this?
98.
Oh God, we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Nick.
Bye, Nick.
There you go. All done. And see, I've already gone ahead and done all my lunch and breakfast for tomorrow. So
I haven't yet.
Now I can relax for the next 32 minutes.
What time is it?
11:30.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, except I got like 4 hours sleep last night. Yeah.
I've already had a bath.
Is
that too much information?
No, that's fine. That's tame for this day and age. I've just had a bath.
My sleep schedule has been horribly thrown out by discovering city skylines.
Oh.
Yeah. So I happened across a video on Imgur where I was like, "Oh, this has got different junctions and how much traffic can go through them." And then someone said, "Oh yeah, this is based in a game engine, City Skylines." So I went on YouTube and looked at it, and it's got videos of people solving massive traffic problems in this like Sim City style thing.
Okay.
And they were quite engrossing and entertaining. I was like, okay, I'll buy the game now. And then it's 2 a.m. And I'm sat there with the city going, yes, but if I change this dual carriageway to be one way in this direction, then add a bus stop here, like it's 2 a.m. Go to bed.
In real places, but in this, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not real place. You build the city from scratch.
Oh, I thought you were checking like Birmingham and
no, it's like
the road.
No, you get given a landmass, and basically you start up from like a couple of houses, a corner shop, and whatever. And like at this point, I've got access to like all the master. I've got monorails. I can have underground systems. I can have an international airport. I can build the Eiffel Tower. It's like okay.
I've got hooked on a very inane game. Well, hooked. I play a very inane game, which is merge planes, which is just you just build planes and merge them together and build more planes and build more planes and build more planes and build more and stuff, which is very tedious. But somehow I keep getting sucked into it.
Mike, do you still play Fire Emblem Heroes?
No.
Okay.
I've still got it installed. To be honest, I've gone back to actually playing Fire Emblem on the 3DS instead.
Okay.
Because everything in Fire Emblem Heroes is the same. So
yeah, it is, but it's still addictive, unfortunately.
It's suffered a bit from mobile game syndrome, which is where they start off with this like really clear, simple system, and then they go, okay, here's a new resource. Oh, here's a new type of fighter. Oh, now you can learn different skills. Here's the thing.
You can get it quicker if you pay real money.
No, not even that. They've actually really held back on that. The company that built Fire Emblem Heroes for Nintendo has actually complained to its shareholders because Nintendo has deliberately told them they can't implement more than a certain amount of like money generation in it. They've got to keep it so that you can just play for free. And apparently they're really railed against that to their shareholders. So Anyway, I need to be off because I'm tired and need the loo. So
yeah, me too. I will bid you all adieu.
Yeah,
indeed. Good night. Have a fun day at work.